All right, so you guys sent over a ton of info on this air fountain system, and wow, I got to say I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, it's really getting some buzz lately, and for good reason too, with all these droughts and everything.
Right, yeah, okay, so the air fountain claims it can pull like 10 gallons of water a day straight from the air just using condensation. Is that even like scientifically possible?
Oh yeah, totally. It's not like magic or anything, it's just science, basically. Air holds moisture, even in like really dry places. And the air fountain just kind of like creates this little environment for that moisture to condense.
Yeah.
And then it collects it as water, kind of like a really fancy dehumidifier, but instead of tossing that water, it makes it drinkable.
Oh, okay, I get it. So it's not like creating water out of thin air, it's just concentrating what's already there.
Hmm.
But 10 gallons? That seems like a lot.
It is, yeah. That's what makes it so interesting. 10 gallons is enough for drinking, cooking, maybe even a small garden if you're careful.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If you live somewhere that's like really dry or water's super expensive, this could be huge.
Exactly. And you know what's kind of crazy? The guy who invented it, John Gilmore, he actually came up with the idea after his family got robbed during a drought in Arizona.
Seriously.
Yeah, they were targeted for their water.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how important water is, especially with these droughts getting worse.
Speaking of droughts, Gilmore mentioned this 100-year mega drought thing in his stuff. Is that like a for real possibility?
Well, it's based on these climate models and the trends we're seeing now, whether it lasts a whole century, who knows. But the point is, we're definitely heading towards a future where water is going to be scarce.
Yeah,
What?
so maybe having your own water supply isn't such a crazy idea after all.
Exactly. And that's why this air fountain system is so cool. It's designed to be pretty cheap and easy to build yourself.
Wait, hold on. DIY. You're telling me I could build one of these things?
Yep. That's the whole idea. The plans are super user-friendly, and you can get the materials pretty much anywhere. Gilmore says it costs less than $300 to build compared to those commercial systems that cost thousands.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't need any special skills or tools or anything.
Well, you'd need some basic DIY know-how, comfortable using tools like a drill and stuff. But the guide is meant for beginners. It walks you through like every single step, from gathering materials to putting it together and even maintaining it.
Okay, so it's not like totally plug and play, but it's doable for someone who's willing to put in a little effort.
Right. And the payoff could be huge. Think about it. You wouldn't have to rely on city water. You'd save money on bottled water. And you'd always have clean water no matter what happens.
It's like having your own little water safety net.
Yeah.
Especially in an emergency, that peace of mind would be priceless.
And there's another thing that's pretty cool. It's portable. The whole system weighs less than 10 pounds, so you could take it camping.
Yeah.
Or even use it as a bartering tool, if water gets really scarce.
Whoa, hold up. A bartering tool. Like trading water for stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something we want to think about,
Yeah.
but in a real crisis, water would be super valuable.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see the appeal here. But I'm guessing it's not all perfect, right? There's going to be some downsides too.
Of course. Like anything new, there are some things to consider. We'll get into those right after this.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about all the good stuff, clean water, peace of mind.
Right. But you said there were some downsides too. What are those?
Yeah, so first off, even though it's supposed to be DIY friendly, you still need some basic skills, with tools and stuff. You got to be okay working with like PVC pipes, a drill, maybe even a soldering iron, depends on how you power it.
Okay, so maybe not for someone who's never held a screwdriver before.
Yeah, right. But if you're handy, the plans are supposed to be really detailed, easy to follow. Plus, there's tons of stuff online, forums and videos where you can get help if you need it.
That's good to know. What else?
Another thing is the output, 10 gallons a day is pretty good, but might not be enough for like a big family or if you use a lot of water.
Yeah.
You might need to build more than one, scale it up to fit what you need.
Right, that makes sense. What about the off-grid thing? How does that even work? You need solar panels?
You could use solar panels, yeah, but the basic setup uses a car battery. The plans show you how to hook it all up safely.
Oh, okay, so you could have this thing running in the middle of nowhere as long as you have a charged battery.
Exactly. It gives you that independence, especially in an emergency.
I was wondering about humidity. Does it work as well in dry climates?
That's a good question. The amount of water it can pull out really depends on the humidity. So in really dry places, you might get way less than 10 gallons.
So it's not perfect for everyone everywhere.
Right. It's important to do your research, see what the average humidity is like where you live.
Okay, and what about the water itself? Is it safe to drink right away?
It has a whole filtration system to get rid of impurities, make it drinkable, but it's always good to test it regularly.
Makes sense. Just like any other water source. Got to make sure it's safe. So how about maintenance? Is it going to be a pain to keep running?
Actually, it's designed to be pretty low maintenance. The plans tell you how to clean it, replace filters, that kind of stuff.
Phew. I was picturing myself constantly tinkering with it. So it sounds like there are pros and cons, but having your own water source is pretty tempting.
Yeah, especially with all the droughts and stuff. It's like taking control, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and it gets people talking about water conservation too, which is always good.
Exactly. It makes you think about our relationship with water, how we
Yeah.
can adapt.
So do you think this is something most people should consider?
I think it's worth checking out, especially if you're worried about droughts or emergencies. But do your research first, weigh the pros and cons, see if it fits your needs.
Good advice. Speaking of research, you mentioned testimonials earlier.
Yeah.
What are people saying about the air fountain?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. We'll get into those right after this.
So we were talking about those testimonials before the...
Oh, yeah, the testimonials.
What are people saying about this air fountain thing?
Pretty much everyone's been super positive. They love how easy it is to use and that it actually works. Like they're getting clean water and it gives them peace of mind knowing they've got a backup if they need it.
That's awesome. Any stories that really stood out to you?
Yeah, there was this one family in California. They used their air fountain during that big wildfire a while back. Water got all messed up from the smoke and ash, but they were able to use the air fountain for drinking water, till things cleared up.
Wow, that's incredible. It really shows you how valuable it could be in an emergency. It's one thing to read about it, but it's another to hear how it actually helped people when they needed it most.
Right. Really makes you think about having a plan, for water, especially with the climate changing and everything.
It does make you wonder, are there other things like this out there? Other ways to make sure we have enough water in the future.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton of cool stuff happening. Like
Yeah.
some scientists are working on these drought-resistant crops that don't need as much water.
That would be amazing for farmers, especially in those dry areas. What else is going on?
Well, a lot of people are focusing on better water infrastructure too, like smart irrigation systems that use sensors so they only water plants when they actually need it.
That's so smart. It's like we always take water for granted, but it's so precious.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
not just about the technology, it's about changing how we think about water and how we use it.
Right. Even small things like fixing leaky faucets, taking shorter showers, stuff like that can make a difference.
Exactly. It's all about being more aware, making conscious choices to conserve what we have.
So it sounds like we can do a lot, both on our own and together, to make sure we have enough water going forward.
Totally. We need to be creative and work together, use new technology and be smarter about how we use water.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about water and this whole air fountain system.
Me too. It's inspiring to see people coming up with solutions, and thinking about the future.
It really shows that even with all the challenges out there, there's still hope.
Exactly. We just got to keep working together, be innovative, and take care of our planet.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, stay curious and stay hydrated.